Hello, welcome to another video on activity management. This video is going to cover reset management within activity management. It's going to specifically look at standard reset configuration, so we're not going to cover supplemental resets, which will be done in another video, and then I'll explain that as we go along. Okay, so this is the course I've created for this exercise called Standard Reset. It's a UK course and it's offered in Autumn UK. And this is the activity registry record. So again, standard reset, and we can see it linked to the course ID. I'm not going to go over everything about creating an activity registry record. We're just going to look at the reset configuration. Okay, so I'm in the parent course root record at the moment, and there is one option here, one attribute that we can add to an activity registry record that will be used in reset management. You will see here an attributes link. If I click on that, it brings up this attribute UON reassess all for AM course. What this means is if we select yes here, this means that if a student fails one of their assessments, even if they passed all the other ones, they will be resitting all the assessments for that course. Okay, so you fail one, you retake them all. And what this selecting this attribute does, it will be used in the rule that's part of the progression rule. And when the progression rule runs, it will look at all the reset records that have been created already. It will look at this value and it will say, okay, we've got a reset record created for the exam the student failed, but now we're going to create a reset record for the two coursework items they actually passed. Okay, so that's what it's for. And if that's going to be the approach that's going to be used for this particular course, it needs to be selected at the activity registry stage. Okay, so that's the only configuration really that we do for resets on the course root record. So I'm going to click through into exam record. Okay, so basically the reset configuration is the same for an exam content type or an assessment item content type. To activate it, you can see here we've got a section called Reset Options. And if I go up to Coursework, you'll see I've got the same option here. It's just in a different place. So we're going to click on that. So now resets are allowed. If we don't select that, students, it's not going to be possible to create reset records for a student who fails an assessment. Okay, calculation option. So we select here highest mark. What this means is when it's calculating, the system's calculating the overall mark, it should take the highest mark between all the students' attempts, so their first attempt, second attempt, or possibly third attempt. So we always select that. Down here we've got the attempt time period. Now it's been agreed to set this as academic year. So this is the number of attempts they can take in an academic year, and the number of allowed attempts is 3. Okay, so and what this means is, so even if a student does a second reset and they do that in a different academic year, that reset will still be attached to the year they originally took the course in, which is standard university practice. So that's what means. So 3 attempts, first reset, second reset in an academic year. Now the final piece of configuration you'll see here is supplemental reset. Now, a supplemental reset, this is where the scenario where a student has taken a coursework item, for example, they failed it, they've got to do a reset. The reset is going to be an exam. So essentially a supplemental reset is used where the type of assessment that's used for a reset changes, okay? And we need to set up and configure that supplemental reset within Campus Solutions. But we're not going to cover that aspect in this video because we're going to do another video on that and then run it through right through to IAM. Okay, so I've set up my coursework for resets and now I'm just going to repeat the process for my exam. Oh, missed it. So we click on resets allowed, highest mark calculation option, reset period. So for exams we get this extra assignments. So it knows that if there is a reset, when should that reset take place in an academic year? So we're going to put next exam resit period, which for us in the university will be sort of August, September, well, August really. And again, we're going to do our number of attempts, 3. Okay, so that's it. That's all the configuration for resits that we can do at the activity registry stage. So I'm going to save that. And then we're going to move on to the batch activity generator. So this is the next step in the activity management process, where we create the activity manager records for a specific term based on the activity registry record. So let's go back to here and make sure we've got the course ID. Then we go into the batch activity generator, which I've already started. So I've put in the sort of standard configuration, and I'm creating these manager records for 3170, so the academic year 2017. So when we add in our academic periods, which has been discussed in a previous video, so we put in the academic period, if we got an exam, when that exam's going to run. So we put in the session, and here we select an exam period which is by campus, it's by session, it's by term, and also we've got a regular period, and we've got a resit period. Now I've only got an exam period set up for my standard exam, but I also need to add in an exam period, academic period for my resit exam. So I need to add in another row here. The session stays the same, it's always the same session when the course is due to run. Okay, and then I'm going to click on here. So this is a UK course, so I'm going to just filter on U. And you'll see here we have a resit period for 2016, one for 2017 at the moment. We've got duplicate rows. This is a bit of a bug in the system, but this will be removed. So I'm going to click that. So that's the standard resit period in August for the 2017 year, and it's ticked that as the resit period. Okay, so now that's configured, and when we create a resit record through this process, that's the period it will be attached to. And just to note, we've got add resit description, so I put resit exam in here. So what this is needed for, when the batch activity generator creates the activity manager records, it will create a separate record for the resit exam. This is to allow us to add configuration to that resit exam, such as the exam period and anything else we want to change. Okay, so I'm going to run that. I'm going to put the video on pause while I do, because we don't need to go through the process here of running the batch, but then we'll go on to the activity manager record. Okay, so here we are in the activity manager record. So we can see, this is the title, standard resit, subject area, catalog number. This is the year it's attached to. And we go down, we can see we've got exam 1, and we've got exam 1, coursework 1, and we've got our resit record that's been created. And as you'll know, for exams, an additional record is created called an exam section, which is can be used for scheduling purposes if you want to have an exam that runs on multiple times or different locations, but it's not something we're going to be using. But it is created by default, so we have to have it. Okay. So the resit exam, so we've got two new activity separate records created here. So let's click on and have a look at this one, which is the parent resit exam record. And as you can see, it's got the resit period that we used in the batch activity generator to attach to it. Pardon me. And then down here we've got exam. So if we want to, after we've run the batch, we can, for an individual activity manager record, amend the exam type. We can amend the academic period the resit's going to run in. We can even amend the exam duration. However, changes to how a assessment is configured, most of those should happen in the registry record. We don't want people changing key requirements such as duration in the manager record unless absolutely necessary. But it would be acceptable to change the academic period because it's not part of the approved curriculum, say for this assessment, for this course. It's almost like, it's a scheduling, it's an admin requirement. Okay, so we can do that there. Okay, and that's really all you can do in that record. And if we go and have a quick look at the section record, So this is the record that we'll be adding the marks to. So it is possible to change things like um, the result scale or the pass mark. We can even change the weighting at this stage, but again, this is not something that will be approved or advised to be done. Okay, so that just shows you that. Let's get out of here. Now, the other thing to consider, if we've not created a reset record through the batch activity generator, it is possible to do that now, particularly if we're going to do supplemental resets, because we can add in, well, it really is only for supplemental resets, because we can add in a child record to the course root and we can create the supplemental reset. But otherwise, that reset functionality needs to be set up in the activity registry record and then brought through to the manager record. Okay, so that's reset management through activity registry and into activity manager. And now I'll do another video on managing the resets in the student IAM record.